Previously on Black of the Berry.
Sippy.
You ready?
Yeah, bro. I was ready. What's up?
The fuck are you doing?
Getting weight. What are you doing?
Why are you always doing? First, alright, I'm not even going to comment on the fact that you really are brushing your hair. What's your do-rag on?
It's a silky. Feel the cake. Go ahead.
Like, huge names. You got the biggest names. You know what I'm saying? The biggest global sports apparel company. So why not get Colin Kaepernick? Because you're trying to slingshot yourself into.
Well, they already had.
Well, I mean, they already had, but I'm saying like relaunch because they're trying to re-image themselves into being bigger than sports and bigger than almost life and inspiring. You know what I'm saying? Because that is timeless.
No, because there's a white man doing it. I guarantee you, if Peyton Manning started taking a knee,
He'd be a hero.
bruh, everybody would start to understand.
Roger,
They
they
would-
would like give that man a medal.
They would all like, oh my gosh, think about like look at how much caring and heart he has. Yeah, because everybody loves to have the in America they love the narrative of the white man saving the black man. They love that fucking narrative.
Please, Poseidon, Wave Gods, let me have a good show. It's the season finale. All I want is to be the waviest. I need it. It's the season finale, man. It gotta be wavy. Gotta be.
You're the most vain individual I've ever met in my life. I don't think anybody can be as ridiculous as you are.
Wow.
You're praising what is the Messiah? What is that?
It's the Wave Gods. Gotta be wavy. It's the Wave Gods. You don't want to be wavy?
Fuck.
You gotta be wavy. Damn.
Welcome back to Black of the Berry season finale. For those who are listening on the airways, something new, but we're glad that you're listening, so be patient. For those who've been watching us, thank you for the support. This is season finale.
Are we live on SoundCloud or something?
No.
Oh, okay. When you said that, I was like, oh snap. Okay.
No, I sound an idiot.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? This is season finale, man. We stepping our up, you know what I mean?
Here we go.
Alright, so first of all, and we want to get into something real quick. What's something that's been... Listen, we've been talking about Kanye all season long. We've been doing this, but what we need to do is talk about in response to his late comments, his latest comments. How have we as black people have been not holding ourselves accountable for that?
For his comments, you mean?
Or in response to his comments, like let's say the angle of
How T.I. said that he doesn't want to, like, he's mad that he associated ever with Kanye West, you mean, stuff like that.
I mean, kind of like that, but just in terms of like we are so quick to shun Kanye, but not do other things, and not hold people who are more accountable actually accountable. You know what I'm saying? We're shunning Kanye, but we're letting some of him walk. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yes.
so it's like, How do you feel about that, my man?
I honestly think the whole thing is just ridiculous.
Why are you smiling when you say that?
Because, well, one, it's funny. That's why. It's funny.
Okay.
Everybody's tough until it's time to be tough. And what I mean by that is, when we're looking at each other face to face, we for some reason can't ever give us a pass.
And you talk about black people.
Black people.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, listen, okay, I understand you don't like Kanye's comments. I don't agree with what Kanye was talking about. I don't. But here's the issue. We know that he's got some mental health stuff going on.
Yeah.
Right?
And we know he's very passionate, too.
And he's a very passionate individual. Everybody's known that. But then you do have to say, hey, listen, he's putting his money where his mouth is. He supported the sister that's running for Chicago mayor.
Yeah, I saw that. And,
You see what I mean?
And he's doing, he's trying to give money in, he was in Rwanda or Uganda. He's, giving money out there, donating out there, so.
So what does it matter?
And-
Like, is he not doing what he needed to do? But then yet everybody is mad that he's got the whole Make America Great hats on and he supports Trump, whatever the case may be.
Right.
Jim Brown was sitting there right next to him.
Which is my question. Me and Kev were talking about this before. Jim, where was the green beret, not the green beret, but where was this Pan-African beret that Jim Brown used to wear back in the 70s and when he was fighting for civil rights? Where's that Jim Brown? Because that other Jim Brown we saw was an old shell of Jim Brown, and he was just there sitting there agreeing with whatever Kanye was saying, no matter how outlandish it may have been at the time. And it very seemed
Because he wasn't going to leave his brother hanging. Because he would not listen.
Kanye seemed like a straight up grade A coon right in front of the president.
Oh, God. Do we have to say coon? You had to call him a coon?
No, we're not gonna call him a coon, but he was definitely jobbing though.
I'm not saying, but here's the thing though, I'm not saying that he wasn't. All I'm saying
Full
is that
jive though. Full jive.
we know that
Jazz
Kanye
hands and all.
has mental issues. Like, we know this.
Okay.
This is known.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
Why don't we, why aren't we looking at it from that angle? That's my issue. We keep just like, oh, he's an asshole, he's this, he's that. Do we not recognize that he hasn't been right since his mama died? And then even going back to that, people was like starting to look at certain things and think about certain things. Because people talk about their early interactions with Kanye in the music industry. He was always a weird kind of out there dude.
Right, but
What do you not... I'm not saying that we gotta back the man. I'm just saying don't yell out here legitimately like killing and crucifying him.
But here's my thing about it. Because if you would think about old Kanye, you would never think that old Kanye would ever even get to this point.
Why wouldn't you?
Because yes, he was out there, but he was out there more aligned with our thinking.
This is still the same Kanye that says George Bush doesn't like black people. This is still the same Kanye.
Right, but we're like I said, we said that in previous episodes. We were in support of that statement. This whole latest thing with this magma and stuff is like, who's in line with that? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, so we're on the total opposite. So we're not going to support him. And now that he was cool, he was crazy the whole time.
I want y'all to know that Floyd Mayweather also supports Trump as well.
Maybe that could be for like a fiscal thing, though. I don't think it's more.
He still supports. He still supports Trump.
Yeah, but I know a lot
He
of
still
people.
supports Trump.
I know a lot of people is out here. Oh, he's going to make our economy great. Blah 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 blah. And we don't even need to talk about it because we're not even supposed to be talking about Kanye.
Has he not been?
It's black people's response to Kanye
Because they're so emotional.
This is what I want to talk about.
Because black people are so emotional. That's the issue.
But like Kanye, we are very passionate people too, and we're very caring, and we're so quick to call out sellouts, but we don't hold ourselves accountable in trying to stopping them. And
Didn't his wife get that one sister released from jail?
Okay.
And then didn't Kanye get somebody else released from jail from Trump?
Okay, so you got what, 2 people released from jail?
No. Listen, but somebody he's been advocating for years. But also, doesn't he now have Trump talking about some like police reform or something like that in Chicago?
Yeah.
Right? He's got that on Trump's radar, right? That would help us.
But
right?
we'll see when it happens. Because Trump was supposed to go to Chicago a long time ago.
I have a question. We all see the picture that's circulating on social media with Barack Obama, and you have legitimately like every major rapper, R&B performing at the time. You had Khaled, you had all of them, Ludacris, had all of them.
Yeah.
What happened from that?
Was one dope picture.
What policies or reform came from that?
None that we know of.
I'm just saying. Maybe
None that we
listen,
know of.
people watching, comment obviously below. Y'all tell us. You know, correct me. But all I'm saying, nothing came from that. Kanye may have did whatever Kanye did, acted crazy and ridiculous.
But there's just some action.
He's doing something for some people of like us. That's what y'all not realize.
But
Like
that's also when Barack was in office, and we know how we
even though I have said before that Barack really wasn't for black people, but Barack, you know, you look at his policies. He did do policies to help us, but he wasn't what you really expected him to be. Because hell,
he wasn't like the brother that we expected him to be.
Well, shit, because at the end of the day, Donald Trump is the brother that certain white folks expected. Because guess what? One thing Donald Trump did do when he got in office, He stopped funding Homeland Security to look into counter white domestic terrorism.
Oh, okay.
That's what we got. You know, people like Cesar Sayoc going out here sending alleged pipe bombs. We don't even know if that's true or not because the whole thing looks like a work. But that's off topic. Now back on. Listen, Black America, you're too emotional with everything. You need to.
How do we screen that though? How do we not react? How do we react with a certain amount of emotion?
Oh no! Listen. We can. I'm not saying that we can't call Kanye for his bullshit because you do, but then don't act like what. Don't act like he didn't do anything though. Don't act like he was just losing. Like he was losing his mind. But guess what? He went in there with a game plan. He did get it accomplished.
But here's what I think about it too. Yes, we can call out Kanye, but we also gotta make sure we call out ourselves.
Talk about
and
it.
our brothers and sisters.
Talk about it.
That's what we wanted to get to is the black accountability on our part.
Yep.
And the fact that with Kanye being in a positions where he's at, it's easy to pick at him because he's above us on the mantle.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard because when you call somebody else out when they're among you, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's what, and my thing is that are we clinging to the sick role right now? The sick role by the choice of America is that black people are, with not much productivity. We're either entertainers or basketball players or athletes, and the other population of black people is just collecting welfare and have kids and disrupting community and criminals.
Well, see, that is false, and we know that is false. That isn't how a lot of black people are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us who work, we do well. We own homes. We have productive lives, we have productive business lives.
But that is a population to that sick role of people who do not strive to compete in this capitalist market and
Absolutely.
that just want to collect the help, basically.
Absolutely. And one thing, here's something I want to do. We acknowledge the system that caused it. We do. Because all of racism and not even racism, but systematic racism.
Okay.
That's when I say the system, systematic racism. We acknowledge it. We do.
How much blame do we put on that? Because we got to acknowledge it. We got to understand that it is.
Well, you can literally listen. The 80s, the 70s, and the 80s was proof of it.
Okay.
You can look at mass incarceration. It's proof of it. And we know systematic racism is live and well.
That's true.
But and we have been combating it as of lately. Listen, that's why you have, for instance, in New York, you have them stop and frisk.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Then you also, that's why we're also fighting this whole cash bail and bond system going on.
Okay.
California's doing it. If California gets passed, obviously then they'll bring it to the federal level. You see what I'm saying? So we are doing things to combat this. But within the communities, in the homes, I'll go back to it. You have to be more active within your community and knowing what's going on with your laws that's affecting you. Mm-hmm. If you understand that systematic racism is affecting us, how does it affect us? By the individuals we elect in office. Right? There can be a law federally that says, hey, let's just say, for instance, that there's a federal law that says marijuana is bad. As we know, that's the case, right?
Right.
There are states that have passed this saying that it's legalized. So in those states, it's operating legally. Right? On a local level, they do certain things that, listen, there could be, like, in the United States, alcohol is legal, but they're in dry counties. I bet you sure there are going to be dry, weak counties if those local individuals vote for that. You see what I mean?
That's a good point.
You see what I mean? So guess what? You have to take over your own communities, and then you can slowly work your way up. We don't do that.
Here's my thing.
That's why you got to go vote.
And I want to table that for later on in the episode.
Sure.
Because I think that's genius, and we can attack that.
Absolutely.
More in depth.
That's
but
fine.
I think let's switch gears for now.
Okay.
I think let's talk about how much music has affected that frame of mind. You know what I'm saying? And how much the degrading music has conditioned our thinking into self-destruction.
And how those individuals who got rich off of it are those same individuals calling Kanye a coon and stuff. Listen. You can say what you want. I put this poll up on my social media.
Okay.
Justin.Hinton5654. Y'all can go check that out. Go follow me. Now, here's the thing. I said, is trap and gangsta music a tool of white supremacy? Most people said no.
Here's my thing. And here's the thing. What happened was, initially it was not. But they used our momentum against us to combat us. You know what I'm saying? Basically, when we first started out, it was just like, fuck the police, and it was just all about that. You know what I'm saying? And speaking and telling your hood stories and talking
fighting your fight.
right, and talking about stories from your dead homies and
But
all the
it
other
wasn't
stuff.
glorifying negativity, or was it?
It, in a sense, it was but what it was also
Was it
doing-
glorifying negativity amongst ourselves, though?
Yeah. Yeah, especially with that, NWA, Ice-T music, that was still self-destructive, even though it was the first, glimpse of gangster rap. Because it was always geared towards us, besides the police. It was.
But they were just. But this is what I'm saying though. What Ice-T was doing at that time was just legitimately, he was going through it, telling his story.
Right.
The early individuals were going through it, telling their stories.
And I get that.
Nowadays, we got a whole bunch of people who've never gone through anything, just perpetuating something to make $1.
And here's my thing. There is some of that too, but there's also some of the population who have been in stuff, been in jail, been in whatever, and portray that hood story.
Future talked about Molly Percocets. He doesn't even do Molly Percocets.
Right. And he's created a wave. He's trickled down. His way of rapping has trickled down into these SoundCloud rappers, where now you're seeing people
Lil Xan or whatever the hell your name is.
and they're dying before they even get to go get signed because they're
Molly Percocets.
okay, this is
Idiot.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Taking Tide bombs and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So why? Is it because we love ignorance and violence? Is that why? Because I love battle rap as a person. I love hearing about guns. Even though it's fabrication, I love hearing about it. I love that competition between two brothers going at it. You know what I'm saying?
There's nothing wrong, because because me and you were having a conversation about that.
Right.
And, I had a stand saying that you're an asshole, but I retracted. And the reason why, because I was thinking, hey, listen, the same way you like battle rap, I like watching movies that have a lot of gruesome deaths and killings and shooting and just straight destruction and just total annihilation.
Right.
I'm there for it. I'm with it.
Right.
Fast and Furious, I'm loving it.
That, like explosions or like
Explosions, death, destruction. I love it. Heartache. I love it. I love it.
Okay.
The good guy getting his ass kicked. I love it. The good guy making a comeback. I love that too. It's fine. It doesn't matter. But I like it. Right?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I go out there shooting people.
Right.
So, but those movies, when they are made, it's made like this is a movie. Go see a movie, whatever the case may be. It's not embedding itself into the society. The way that in certain, listen, don't get me wrong. Yes,
Don't Be a Menace.
no, I was talking about. See, I'm talking about not white movies, but like mainstream movies.
Oh,
let's
okay.
say. You see what I'm saying? I'm not talking about our movies.
Yeah, like Halloween or whatever. You don't see.
Yeah,
people
like Jason, like the Fridays.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like you don't see people going out trying to be Jason and really killing people that way. You know what I mean?
What about with the It thing? Because people were dressed up as clowns, and they was out there hurting people. And this was recent. This was like last 2 years.
You're right about that, actually. Ooh, I have to think about. Well, no, you know what it is with that? That's just
Coincidence?
No, I think that's social media. One person did it and it got recorded on social media. Now everybody followed the trend because they saw how funny and cool it was.
Well, some people got hurt though.
Because people are assholes and people are stupid. No. But that's because it was a social media trend, and obviously there are going to be individuals who take things too far.
Where did that come from? The movie.
The movie that one individual did, yeah, true. Then they took it and then it ran off. Yeah, listen, okay, I can see.
Point for me.
That is a point. That is a point. But okay, we don't see too much of that.
No, we don't.
And don't get me wrong. And then I am wrong because you do see movies come out in life. You do. I'm not okay. I am wrong about that. You do because that's why they make movies too.
So how do you-
art imitates life.
What about?
But why is it that our communities, it's destruction geared towards it? It was for a long time.
Because it's not just
For a long time it was.
It's not just movies. It's video games. It's music. It's propaganda. It's commercials. You know what I'm saying? Like not even okay. So instead of the
Or
movies,
maybe okay, true. Okay, I'm sorry.
the movies. It's not just let's say we take a movie and we're like, oh, I'm old dog. You know what I'm saying? We see movies where we're gangsters, we're corrupt, we're militant, and that conditions us to be violent. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we already, as great as Black Panther was, and it was so great to see us in that light. It was still a militant movie.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
But there are more black movies. There are a lot more black black movies and things to black movies than just us being militant, angry, and violent. We can name a few movies. Like, okay, for instance, look at The Wood.
That's a great movie. One of my favorites.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
They were just being hoes.
You're right.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Right. Yeah.
But they weren't being violent and angry and destructive.
Right.
Look at Friday. And what I mean by that, those are just two, like, Smoke, like, you looked at Smokey. Most people realize that, listen, Smokey just got into selling weed because of systematic racism, if you really want to break it down. He was there systematically because he didn't have the necessary life skills.
And that's what the point I'm trying to make is how much blame can we put on the system because they create we have to create another means to ends because of where they placed us. We at most we can be prejudiced. We can't be racist because we don't have access to that power. They have something where they can affect our everyday life in detail. The way we live.
It goes back to the voting.
The way we live. Does it?
And the reason why
does it?
And listen to me, and not only just voting, but just being more aware. There are so many individuals who, like I said, you understand systematic racism is in place. Why don't you have your kids read more? Why don't you start reading more?
Yeah.
Why don't you start doing some more things for self-help?
Then that's that's our angle for segment 3. So we'll get into how to better that. But that's true. That's true. It's through education, through awareness. Yes.
You know what I mean? And then too, like, we understand that not only do we have libraries, but then we have the internet now. Don't get me wrong, there is. Don't get me wrong, there is a lot of just people spewing nonsense on the internet. But if you start looking at credited sources,
and you can
really start to
research,
put your research together and understand things. But we will never do that if we just continue to say, "Oh, this sucks. Oh, this is terrible. Oh, this is that." What are you going out to do to fight it?
And that's my thing. Let's not cling to the role. Like, okay, yes, racism exists, but let's not always, when something happens, like, oh, it's racism. Oh, it's this. Let's try to find it, because even though there is racism, we have still found loopholes in the system and created our own lanes. So if they can, why can't us?
Listen, there was multiple Black Wall Streets.
Yeah.
There were multiple ones. And during the time of segregation, how did they survive?
Yeah.
How were we able to move and live? See what I mean?
My thing is that moving forward, I think that we need to.
There were HBCUs made.
Right. And as much as we had these black communities that were self-sufficient, I think that we need to move forward, and I think it needs to be a multi-race thing. We need more involvement from the multi-race, just because I feel like that's the only way.
What are you talking about?
We need to have, let's say we had just the Black Wall Street, right?
Sure.
But yes, we also linked up with Asians from Uptown. We linked up in the Spanish people in the Bronx and stuff like that.
That's just doing business.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. We make more networking, like we make a chamber of commerce or something like that, where our money is now almost linking together.
Well, I think first off,
we got to build ourselves. Absolutely.
So guess what? They got it going on.
Yeah. So we can even step in.
So let's first focus on Black America.
Right.
Because I think our dollar circulates within our own community like 4 times or something like that.
Yeah. But my thing
maybe
is that
7. I think not even 7.
Why
4 times? 4 times.
Why don't we want to buy or be more active as consumers in black-oriented businesses? Like, why do we not go to black banks? Why do we not go to black supermarkets? Why do we not trust?
A lot of times people just the mainstream items are a little bit are easily accessible for individuals.
Makes sense.
2, sometimes the convenience. Sometimes we just at time. If you have a bad business experience with one of our own for some reason, we're a little more tougher. We can't. Yeah, we want to be like, all black people do bad business.
We only give we give each other one strike.
Yeah, but then we'll give anybody else multiple chances. It's kind of funny.
I went to Walmart. They messed with my order 3 times in a row. But you went to Brooks barbecue or whatever. They messed up your order. You'll never go there again. You know what I'm saying?
Sweet.
All right,
Brooks is a white-owned restaurant.
But I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, no, you're just throwing it out there.
But let's think back to the music thing. About how much the music perpetuates violence and ignorance towards each other. Why doesn't conscious rap sell?
Because
you got people like Mos Def, Common, Lupe, Tribe Called Quest, Talib Kweli, Sahai. Why don't these people sell as much as these Migos and all this other stuff?
Well, one, you got to look at the society's.
The trends.
The
Being
trends.
conscious is not a trend.
It's not one people. It's people aren't. It's not a trend right now. Everybody wants to.
That's true.
Just do all this ridiculousness. That's one thing. Two is just the way that everything is advertised and pushed. And then with that systematic racism, it's not only the policies they put in place, but also the images that we see on television. So for the longest time, the propaganda has always been that this is what we're supposed to like. Music has progressed to doing this. You see what I mean?
Right.
There are as long people get older, their tastes get a little more mature. Mm-hmm. So that's why A Tribe Called Quest is still able to release albums.
Right.
You know what I mean? I bangs with We the People.
Right. I like that.
I bangs with. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That Mos Def is still able to make money.
Right.
Because he still has his demographic and he's still gaining demographic as we get older.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but what they flood you with, depending on what your tastes are and what you like, is you can see the Migos and all that kind of stuff, but you can still get listen. I'm pretty sure Common still performs.
I mean, maybe he's more of an actor now, but I would
guarantee you, he's still every now and then. You see what I'm saying? Like there are still ways to still
that Common B album from 2005. Oh my god, that was one of the best albums. Lupe's albums.
Lupe still performs.
I know, but this is like super conscious Lupe now.
No, I listen, but I'm just saying, like it's out there. But that's why listen, Kendrick is still gone.
So what if so we talked about our conversation before. What about people who rappers who are somewhat in the streets but can be conscious as well? I think Styles P is one of the best ones where he could kick a G, but he could also be conscious.
Yeah,
look at Nas. He's more of a storyteller of the streets. You know what I'm saying?
I respect it because he's giving you
Jay-Z.
but they lived it. And now they're on a different side of it. That's why they're preaching to those brothers and they're listening. This is what you're doing. This is what you need to do.
Right.
This is what they're doing.
Right.
Other individuals are just talking about like, yo, I'm in the streets, I'm doing this, I'm moving bricks, I'm doing that. No, you're not. You're a president of a music company.
Are you talking about Pusha T?
Talking about Pusha T. You're not, like, come on, bro. You stop.
What's your beef with Pusha T, bro?
It's not my beef. Listen, here's my
this is the third episode you came at him. What's up? You Team Drake? Are you mad that he aired him out like that?
No, I think it's I think it's he aired him out.
No, aired him out.
Oh, okay. I thought you said aired him out. So,
no, come on, man.
But listen, here's the thing. My thing with Pusha is like you're perpetuating something that you've grown and elevated from. Like, why do you still have to? Why aren't you trying to listen, putting your bars, educating them brothers a little more? Like, you see what I'm saying? That's what I mean. Like, you have grown.
You could be doing
and
that.
Gone to place. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you don't got to talk about what you've been and what you're doing.
Right.
But let's elevate our people and do something. You know how strong your voice is, and yet we're not really using it for those such things.
No.
You see
Okay.
what
All
I'm
right.
saying?
I will not be. I would agree on that part. But let's end with a little commercial break. We'll be back for a little bit. And,
Okay.
Black of the Berry, man. Season finale. What you gotta say for him?
Go vote.
All right. I knew it was coming.
Go vote. November 6th. Go vote.
Peace, y'all.
Larry Sharp for governor.
Welcome back to Black of the Berry. We went a little in depth about Kanye and the response of black people and how much we need to hold ourselves accountable. I also wanted to get into different things of how we can kind of improve and overcome the system that we have in place and try to strive for greatness. I think you had mentioned before we want to value our communities and value our education.
Absolutely.
What I wanted to start off with that is I think that we also get this notion that we live in tough areas. Our first thing to do is make enough money to move out. And that also leads to gentrification. Instead, what we should do is build enough money to buy the buildings and own them. That way we can build a community, and
Absolutely.
have residual generations in that community.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that we also need to do is we need to build civil organizations. By that I mean, like let's say you live in a town, let's say Brooklyn, right?
Sure.
And
I don't, but sure.
But I'm just saying. But I'll say let's say Brooklyn. Let's say a specific part. Let's say you live in, Canarsie. So everyone in Canarsie have a civil organization that organizes different events for Canarsie. Maybe we'll do like a safe Halloween for the kids. Maybe they'll do like a school drive. Maybe they'll hold like different meetings for what's going on for around and that is civil organization. So that way, when you can, first of all, you're all organized, and this kind of helps you when you're thinking about your governor, your elected officials, because now you can think if you meet out, and you're able to discuss your issues and what you want in a candidate, then you're able to cling and identify with a candidate easier because you're all thinking generally
Absolutely.
with the same, thought. So I think that happened. That would help too, and I think that we'll be able to come to the state or city or government and be able to have the proper requests and signatures for municipal projects, which might better our neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I think that building a civil organizations is a key thing, because I think we need to, that way we can, it's almost like a
It's not organization. Yeah, like
it's like,
PTA. I
it's like a
understand what you're saying.
PTA for like the hood, you know what I'm
I
saying?
understand that, absolutely.
And that way you can discuss what's going on. And I think another
Well,
thing,
that's what your town hall meetings are for. But then
supposed
too-
to be for.
Yes, but then too, but I do agree, if you do have a little bit, if in our communities, if we did have some more civil organizations, depending on what you may want, advocating for certain things,
Right.
then it go down to the town hall, and then you have those numbers, and when you're speaking about certain issues, certain things,
You have backing.
absolutely, you do have the backing. So I absolutely agree with you on that, and then that would you know what that causes?
What?
More community involvement and
Right.
more care for the community.
Yeah.
And
And we create ownership in the community.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like if like people who live in Harlem and who generations have grown in Harlem, they love Harlem. Harlem's already
Absolutely.
beloved. They ain't leaving.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? But then we have sometimes where there's part of the Bronx who's like, nah, I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to.
Never coming back.
Never coming back. And I don't fault them, because
Absolutely.
it's the environment is what it is. You know what I'm
But-
saying? But if we want to retain some of this, and we don't want to complain about gentrification and about people moving in that don't belong in weren't here initially,
Sure.
then we got to be able to keep these buildings.
Absolutely.
I think also too, in terms of valuing our education, we got to tell the kids right now, first of all, listen, you're not being told the truth. That's number one. And I think what we need to do is that
Explain that to them a little bit.
we can't. Well, they're not learning what they need to be learning. First of all, we have terrible resources. So we're giving kids old, outdated textbooks, and we're talking about things that they're getting the wrong perception for. You know what I'm saying? So they're growing up with the terrible perception and wrong information about something. You know what I'm saying? And they worship these things.
I
Now,
wonder how many black and brown kids know about credit when they're coming out of high school.
okay, or about what happened, what Christopher Columbus found when he came over here.
Or,
you know what I'm
or
saying?
how to write a check.
Yeah.
Balance a checkbook.
You know what I'm saying?
Balance your checking account.
And here's what I think too. I think that what we need to do is that I feel like we can no longer trust the current school system and educational institution, and that we need to thus build our own schools. We've seen it with LeBron with I Promise. We've seen it. Diddy just did another one with his two schools in I think one in Connecticut and I think one in the Bronx. The second one in the Bronx now. But we need to teach what should be. What these kids should know.
I'm an advocate of school choice. Sounds like you're an advocate of school choice.
Absolutely. And I think what we need to do too is we also need to let the parents know, like, this is the curriculum. And if you want your kids to know, then don't send your kid here and then have complaints about, what you're being taught.
Absolutely.
This is what the curriculum, let them know what they're knowing, what it's hitting for before they even put their
Private schools, charter
bid
schools,
in.
public schools, everything versus. Absolutely. I
You
understand
know what I'm saying? So I think that we can no longer trust the system to educate our kids, because what they're doing is they're raising sheep, not wolves. You know what I'm saying? So, and we need to be able to think for ourselves. The world, kids nowadays, especially nowadays with technology and everything like that, they need to be able to critical think. You know what I'm
Yes, that's something that I like. Like a whole generation is just lacking, and it's just lapse.
saying? Yeah.
You tell them something, that's it, but they don't ask questions about it, try to really truly understand it. They just kind of go with the motions because they just don't care at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because they're not informed of what's going on behind it. They don't understand every day how many rights they lose,
And
your taxes that affecting, and then you'll complain about everything. Maybe why that pothole won't get fixed that you've been talking about for I don't know, 2 or 3 years. Call the county.
you know what I think too? I think that they're also grooming us to
Don't accept it.
cling to that helplessness that we were talking about before, where we don't even fight the system because we're just riding the coattails and collecting our check.
Yep.
They're also grooming these kids to be obedient. And you know what I'm saying? We have them working like what Jaden said. Jaden Smith had an interview saying that where kids are conditioning to thinking like prisons because we have them on the school bell system, just like prisons. You know what I'm saying? So
that was interesting. That was very interesting when he said that.
yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. And it's like we're also already training them to belong to within that environment. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that
there does have to. But here's the thing, though. A child does need structure.
I agree. I agree.
So listen, and then a bell was just a universal thing.
Right.
Being, you know what I mean? And who knows? The prison system could have got it from the schools.
That's true.
You see what I mean? So we have to research where that thought came from. That also comes to us having the critical thinking of being like, hey, listen, I know what you're saying, Jaden, but I have to think about this for a second, do some research before I can absolutely jump on the bandwagon. I see where you're coming from.
And I think, you know why? Because I think what it is critical thinking requires too much energy. And I think as generations gone on, we've been getting more lazier and lazier because we have technology.
We get softer every generation.
That, and I think that with technology, it makes things more efficient for us, so we can do as little work with, because we have so much access to shit. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
what happened to all those teachers who said that we would never have a calculator on us at all times?
What about all the teachers that made us think that we had to actually read the book for a book report? Now we remember we had Spark Notes. Now these kids don't even need to read the book. They can watch a movie or a clip or something about it, and they know everything that happened in the movie or in the book. You know what I'm saying? So
somebody on YouTube we just talked about them reading the book, and then that's it.
You know what I'm saying? So these kids already are cheating the system, and then the current.
We were coding with MySpace.
Talk about it.
We were coding with MySpace.
I know.
I don't know how many of us really realize that.
I know.
That all of us had $1 million skill.
Yeah, could have made our own websites.
We were making our own websites.
I know. It's crazy to think about it, bro.
It shows. You know something? My brother said, Jonathan. He was like, "Yo, he said I don't know the exact quote, but it was something like our generation was like the first generation to still have the outside and embrace technology at the same time. Absolutely. We had the old and the new way at the same time, so it gives us a different perspective.
We were 1 foot in, 1 foot out because we was able to go outside and play with kids until it was dark, and we understand about getting cut and getting bruised, and understand like, oh, we're not gonna get baby every 5 seconds.
But then we had Xbox and PlayStation
and then we're able to understand, yeah, I want to play Sonic, but I also want to play basketball. You know what I'm saying? I want to go outside and play with my friends. You know what I'm
football.
saying?
Bang some heads.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong.
Two-handed touch on the concrete.
And this is how it's hard. It's hard because I try to tell people that we need to be able to detach from material things like Xbox and cameras and all of the,
gotta decompress.
Yeah, I understand that, but here's the thing: we use that to decompress, but then we get consumed by it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yes, this is my timeout, but you can't spend vacation in timeout. It's a timeout. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because you can't escape it, because one, even when you're in technology, they're just messing with your head.
Right.
Like for instance, I got one thing everybody y'all need to do: go out and get tested for your STDs, HIV, AIDS, all that kind of good stuff.
Absolutely.
So I got tested, right?
Okay.
Won't tell that's another hilarious story that I'm going to do a bit about, because I think that it's just too funny, that whole story of
just sitting waiting there. It's the most scariest shit.
No, not even that. Just the way that they called us up, like we were cattle, and everybody knew it was supposed to be anonymous. But then you called up 8 of us at the same time, only 8 slots for this free thing, and then boom, you got us. But whatever, that's a different story. But what I was saying is, I got tested. Talked about getting tested. I've been texting about getting tested, all that kind of good stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Now. In the bit, it explains how the girl basically says HIV normal to me. She said HIV normal. I was like, what does that mean, bitch? Like literally, what does that mean? Like HIV
baby girl, what does that mean?
And she was like, oh no, like you're negative, like if you had something, we would have called you. Okay, cool, right. Awesome. I've been talking to people about that, saying HIV normal, this kind of bullcrap about a test. On my phone now, on Facebook, you know what pops up all the time? Stuff about HIV and getting tested, and like results, and like if you had it, what you should do. If you don't, like always protect yourself if you don't have whatever. And it's just very interesting because it's like, hey, listen, technology's so great and awesome, but how is it that
invasion of privacy? I already know what you're gonna go. NSA, Big Brother. That's where I'm going. They use the phone to listen, and then they use this subconscious marketing to get into it. How does my phone know that I want to talk about? I didn't say anything to my phone, and I just thought about it. I could use Abel Grande right now. I'm scrolling. Next thing you know, I see it. I'm like, how the hell?
I think it's. I don't know.
How?
I don't know if it's Apple. I think it's Apple.
It's NSA, Big Brother. They're using. It's the invasion of the goddamn Patriot.
Listen, no. It gets worse, and I'm about to make it. I'm about to really mess your day up. It's either Apple, Tesla, or one of those big companies. It could be even the government, but they're doing testing so that they can, read your mind through like vibrations in your hands and like your actions, like
It's Apple.
It's Apple, right?
It's probably Apple.
They can. We don't know yet. We have to do some more research. They're gonna get on it, but
instead of the cloud, they're gonna sync it to our brains. That's what they want. They want
no,
that
it's
shit.
not. No, but it's. They're gonna sync it so that like you can literally there'll be a device that you can have in your hand that kind of feels your thoughts and your mood and kind of can read your mind. This is dangerous.
Yeah, we know that.
But this is why you got to do decompression technology. And you got to turn the thing off and put it in a whole nother room in saran wrap and cover it up and then just literally just go enjoy yourself for a little bit. But then it's crazy because if you go enjoy yourself, let's say you go out there and watch television, they're watching you there, and then even they can still listen to you there, and they're going to advertise off of that. They advertise off of regions.
Not only that is it, but also these things that we use to decompress are used to distract us as well.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. I'm on my phone. I can be on my phone just chilling, talking about something else, and all of a sudden it's like, what? I was like, yo, why do I got all this stuff about HIV popping up? Because I have been talking about it lately. Because I've been like waiting for the results for a while, yada yada yada, and I'm just it's dangerous, people.
Yeah, but what let's move back.
Sidetracked.
Yeah, let's move back to the education thing because, like I said, it's miseducation of kids from top to bottom because we have kids.
Or we should say bottom to top, actually.
Yeah, bottom to top. You're right because they progress, right? Mm-hmm. So we have people kids that just some of the kids don't they're not being taught the right way. One. And the topics and stuff that they are learning about, they don't really need to know. And then you have kids that go to college, get the degrees, but then get lost in the workforce. You know,
one of the issues, it becomes because all kids don't learn the same.
Absolutely.
So you have to. So I think there needs to be testing on just not only like you know how they used to give us test every year, standardized tests to see what you knew, whatever the case may be. But it needs to be tested on to figure out what way a kid learns. And then class them off of that. If they're a kinetic learner, put them in that class.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
That's actually pretty genius.
If they're more visual, put them over there.
Yeah.
Like that's how you do it.
Yeah.
And then you can break it down from there. Mm-hmm. But that's what one needs to be done of just like absolutely going there with education. So now we got the kids where they need to be. Mm-hmm. Now we can teach them whatever it is that needs to be taught. Mm-hmm. Like that. Boom. You got it going. That has the child more engaged throughout their years. Listen, the kinetic learners, they may lean a little bit towards, doing more, not manual labor jobs. I wouldn't even say that, because they could be still doctors, lawyers, whatever they want to, they just learn it a different way.
Working with their hands.
But they may work with their hands a little bit better,
yeah.
A little bit more. You have to bring back the shop class. Mm-hmm. Have to really, truly, they may be more into trades.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we have two different modes of thinking now, and then those kids still have to have lunch together. Yeah. When they have lunch together, then they get to have conversation about different things. Like this kid may be talking about going to college, this kid may be talking about going to trade school, but they value it both the same because they understand and listen. They both listen. This construction worker can make just as much
as his doctor. Depending
on how it goes in today's day and age and how hard he busts his ass. Don't get me wrong, it's still manual labor, but maybe he likes to do that. We're not going to shun that. But back on topic. You get them in the segment that they need to do. Then you teach them the correct way of life, and now we're producing better citizens who can now be productive within society, so they don't have to necessarily go towards
more functionalism.
Absolutely, we have more functioning adults.
Well, here's my other thing too. Now, we talked about miseducation, and we got to mention the whole topic of the IQ test and how it's been racially funded and backed to kind of.
I actually don't know too much about the racial.
Basically, the
I know about the IQ test, but I don't know the
IQ test was basically
a little bit.
made by Siegfried and I forgot.
Yeah, Siegfried and Roy.
No.
I mean, not Roy. No, that's the Tiger Bastards.
Yeah, no.
They want him to get bit.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, but I think Siegfried. There's a different Siegfried.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So basically, they made the IQ test to kind of section off how like the learning you were talking about. But what they did was they kind of profiled and put it and attached it to all these kids, saying that all these kids are remedial and retarded, quote unquote. When in fact, like these kids aren't. You know what I'm saying? But then that loops them into remedial retarded. Now they're taking medications, they're drugging the kids. Now they're learning at a different pace. When in fact, that kid wasn't even retarded to begin with.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what they've done that. So now that, and here's the thing, which is it's funny because there's a study that shows that the African kids that come from Africa are some of the most smartest kids. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But
Nigerian Americans are the literally like the best individuals in America. Like they're the most successful class.
But how are these kids not? You know, they're remedial. But then it's like you have kids in Middle America who are smarter than these kids. But these kids are learning from New York. It was a very rigorous education structure. But somehow they're either remedial and not as don't have as much intellect as these Middle American states and Southern states. I'm like, how does that even work? You know what I'm saying? Like, how does this system is like they're trying to disenfranchise us in every way possible. So it's a educational war, it's a medical war, it's a prison war, it's a religious war. You know what I'm saying?
Fiscal war.
It's a fiscal war. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we got to be able to recognize this, and it's like I can't trust this enough.
We have to take our community back.
Yeah.
One piece at a time.
Yeah.
And that's what it means.
I can't trust the education. We have to build our own schools. I'm not a fan of segregation. I'm not a fan of that. We can have other races in our schools, but let's just say that we have to make sure that our curriculum is put forth ahead of time, like I said before, and that they know, so that when they come to this school, you're going to be learning the truth. You know what I'm saying?
You're just learning how to operate within America, because as it's one thing that we do know.
What are you telling me? What am I learning by learning from these different monarchs in Europe? How is that helping me become a better black man in America? Mm-hmm. It's teaching me nothing. It's teaching me nothing.
It's a different.
The French Revolution. How is that applicable to my life now? It's not.
All right. Here's the thing. It isn't even about learning about the the French Revolution.
How is that applicable to our lives, though? What do we need to know about that? I mean, I guess some things can be applicable. If you don't
know history, then you're bound to repeat yourself, and then you do want to understand certain things. But I think that first of all, I think that within our schools, it should be a little bit more about Africa should be taught, and absolutely how we actually lost the power.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think certain things like that need to be taught as well. But the reason we learn about the French is because obviously they're one of the allies.
But we learned about all these different monarchs and empires and these dynasties, but we don't know nothing about Shaka Zulu Empire, none of that. Those Bishop Santis, all those different tribes
they need to be taught in our schools.
Right, you know what I'm saying? And that's
school choice.
And that I think also conditions our train of thought, because now we're thinking these Europeans come from a place of power. So when they came over here, they came from power. Same thing with us. We came when those people were slaves, those were doctors, those were priests, those were So it's like they don't know that, and that they don't want to enrich that. You know, these European kids, descendant kids, are enriched with that culture.
Absolutely, I got you.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but they don't tell that to these kids.
Not all of them, actually.
Not all of them.
Because most of the people that came from America were actually criminals.
And slaves, too. Let's not forget about that. They were serfs. So let's
even though I was talking to a dude, this Irish dude, and he said, yo, nobody had it as bad as the Irish. And I looked at him and I was like, I don't have the time to dissect and destroy what you said.
You could technically argue that Jews had it worse than the Irish, and then the blacks had it worse than that. So
the blacks had it worse than that.
Well, no, we know that, but I'm saying, like, in terms of the lighter skin opposition, that there was, the Jews probably had it the worst.
Yeah, because
it was recorded. It was bad.
But then you know what though?
That's not.
They made a comeback.
That's not. Oh, absolutely. Because you know why?
Soros.
You know why? Because the Jews are able to mobilize within their community. They organize. They're super organized, and they're able to. And they.
Which goes back to your point of having more civil organizations in our communities.
Yeah, because that way you have a civil organization. You can value, and this is your point too, you can value your elected official. Because if you align yourselves with their ideals and you're like, okay, this is the guy we're rocking with, but it becomes
a two-way street.
Yeah, that person, the elected official, must be in and of that community in order to retain the trust.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I have to be able, for black people,
to work in relationship.
we have to be able to see you, touch you, and be able to like understand that you're still here and you're in my corner at any given point in time. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's what I think that we liked Barack in terms of being a black man up top, but we would rather have many different Baracks at this level where we can see and touch and ask questions and stuff like that.
Absolutely, because
you know
then we can produce more Baracks.
Right.
If you have more, well, it's not just Baracks, it's just more black politicians, which then obviously will have more black, ideals for black people for their black communities.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It doesn't really help. You know, you have somebody that doesn't look like you as your representative,
One thing I wanted to get into as well,
or allow your ideals.
I think that we need to stop this notion that we can't do it unless we have someone who is a leader. Oh, we don't have
100%. Yes, we're talking about that.
We don't have Marcus Garvey. We don't have Malcolm X. We don't
need that. We can do it ourselves.
Yes. We don't.
I'm a grown man. I don't need anybody to tell me like, oh, listen, this is how you got to do it. No. Don't get me wrong, it would be great to have these civil organizations because it brings more collective voice, but you just don't need someone to tell you how to live your life.
It builds that sisterhood and brotherhood, which then lowers the violence within, amongst each other. You know what I'm saying? Because if we're building together, and another thing too, between that is that if we're both building and we're being destructive of, our own community, we're also taking away from possible business ventures and possible networks, you know what I'm saying? And we're destroying that. You don't see.
And then we're showing future generations.
This is how you conduct. This is how you do business.
Which is not how you do business.
No, it's not. We need to build. We need to build because there's a reason why we are so feared. There's a reason why our markets are being tampered with. There's a reason why we're being disenfranchised and every day. Every day there's an example of it because we are so feared. You know what I'm saying? They do not want us to organize and have our own dollars and kind of loosen up the term of impression because then they get worried. You know what I'm saying? And then when we have our own schools and we have our own dollars and we're challenging the opposition.
You know what I was thinking of though?
What's up?
Not for nothing, because I do agree with you, but it's honestly just a big. Besides, it isn't like it's a class system. It's a class. When I mean
it is.
So like when they talk about middle America, they're not Yeah, they use incomes, but they're not really talking about us when they're talking about their problems. Because usually, we get the whole urban, the black community. That's why you have the black caucus. But middle America, that's what, you always notice how, like, they're saying the drain the middle class, drain the middle class, drain the middle class. Mm-hmm. That's their war on them. Yeah. Their war on us is systematic racism. But it's to keep everybody within their lane and nobody to jump. And then everybody has to realize that, listen, we have to fight. Not only is it black people, we have to get our own rights. And we got to get our own stuff together so that we can even come to the table and be like, listen, this $1.3 trillion spending power, this is what we need to do. You know what I mean?
And I think basically what we want to...
But it's a larger fight than what a lot of us want to realize.
We need to educate ourselves and become aware. First of all, we need to understand what our history is, where we come from, enrich ourselves so that we can understand how to maneuver forward. Because if we come from these, we know what we're capable of, basically.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? If we know we can be doctors and prophets and all these other great things, then we can, definitely try to strive for that. And we've seen that we've been able to compete at, higher levels of capitalism, but yet we still cling to this helplessness. Break free of those chains, literally and figuratively. Break free of those chains. Don't be afraid to indulge and stuff like that and to learn. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the way we get better, is through education and through awareness. We must be aware, because once we become aware of our epicenter, then that's where we can move forward and have a plan of attack. And that is organizing, and that is when we organize and we mobilize, then we have structure. Right now, we don't have structure, so that we're not respected. You know what I'm saying? When we have, like you said, our buying power is strong, our state of collective identity is strong, and our
state of affairs is terrible, though.
Right, but once we iron that out, we'll be able to go to the different offices and demand our respect and demand change because we have.
Guess what? We won't have to do that if we actually just vote our officials in and start doing things slowly but surely at the local level. Then you go to the county level. Then you go to the state level. Then you go to the federal level. That's how this goes.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science, people.
It's
You
not.
want to make it a lot harder. Like, oh, I don't want to go vote. I don't want to do. I want to do that. Get off your lazy ass. Go inform yourself and vote for who you believe is going to help you. Is going to have policies in place to help you. Like, for instance, if you feel some kind of way about being underpaid, vote people in office that are going to make it so that you're going to have equal pay and equal wages.
Absolutely.
Start at your local level first. Then go at your state level. There's levels to this. You see what I'm saying? You put people in place. It's the long game.
Now,
That's what we don't realize.
Let's think about it this way. We're wrapping up here. Season finale. Let's give something that people can
Chew on for a little bit.
What? Yeah, exactly. So, when we have the opportunity to vote, we should definitely do so. And especially now, we have the opportunity to vote. What do you think people should do who haven't voted before? What do you think, what do you think some kind of things, there's some tips that you should kind of give to them so maybe they can, pick someone that they won't regret?
Here's what you do. You find out who's running in the area, and you just look at the things that they're talking about. Understand that they won't be able to get everything done. There's going to have to be some meeting in the middle on issues. But you see how your life is, what's going on in your life, you vote for the individual who's talking the most about your life.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about what the general public feels. What your life deep down needs. You vote for that individual. You see what I'm saying? That's what you do.
And what's going on in New York right now?
Oh, we got the governor's race.
Okay.
You got Andrew Cuomo, you got Marco Delamaro, whatever case, the Republican sacrifice. You got Larry Sharp, you got a few other individuals, like 6 people running. The third party has been completely shut out of it. It's absolutely disgraceful and terrible. You had a New York debate that only had Marco versus Andrew Cuomo, and there was an absolute laughing stock. And it's absolutely funny, too, how the debate happened downstate, but we're not going to have an upstate debate about upstate issues. Like, how do you do that?
I saw that.
You know what I mean? And I'll coin a phrase from Larry Sharp. How will you do that, Your Majesty?
Yeah, I
Andrew
saw that
Cuomo.
because they were talking about the gun reformers in upstate because the acres are so much spread out. So if I go to bed and it's 8 o'clock and I hear something, I need to be able to have a gun.
I need to be able to react.
Yeah,
I need to be able to react.
and that's different from the handgun law that's in New York, because of the volume and what we actually do with it.
Or these new red tape laws that they have going on that basically just says, like, if my kid writes a letter in school or does something ridiculous like that, you think the kid is violent, something like that nature, and then there's guns in the home, the teacher then has to report it to the authorities. Then they can come take my guns.
They have to.
Are
They're
you
mandatory.
Andrew Cuomo? There's a reason why New York is the 50th most least free state.
Yeah.
That means they'll last. You want to know why? Because you're doing things of that nature. Leave my guns alone. Listen, I'm all about putting in-laws in place that mentally ill individuals and deranged individuals shouldn't have guns. If you want to even make it that you have to, get a gun license, that you got to go to like class the same way that you do for driving a car, I'm cool with that as well. I have no problem with that. But you're not taking my gun. Not off of that. Because it could be a kid being a kid. You want to take my weapons that I have, locked up correctly? No, we ain't doing that.
We're definitely not doing that. But what we are doing is, unfortunately, we're leaving. We're ending season 1. Thank you for everyone who supported, everyone who's listening right now.
Big ups.
This is something new, but don't worry, we'll be back next season. We got a treat for y'all. From Dean to Los, we're here. Black of the Berry. Thank you. I appreciate it. Cue the applause. We out. I love y'all.